Hello, hello, hello. Hi there. How are you? I'm waiting for the other Nkanyezi. Thokozeni, Thokozeni. I'm waiting for the other Nkanyezi. She's got a bunch of questions for me. This will be interesting. We're fine, we're fine. Sanibona, sanibonani, ninjani, ninjani, bantu bakithi, ninjani bakwantu. I've got a question time with Nkanyezi here. I'm just waiting for her to show up so we can. I have no idea what questions she's asking me. So we're going in blind. So Tembo Moya. Hi there, Togoza, you from New Zealand. Great. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, bo. So I'll start talking when she comes. But otherwise, hope everybody is doing well. Hope you guys are doing fine. Oh, yeah. Good morning. How? South Africa, you are here. You guys, do you even sleep? Anilali. Like it's 10:30 here almost. And you guys are awake. Sorry. Yeah, boy. Who's this? Is Winona. Togoza, Togoza, Winona. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Guys, please share this out. Nkanyezi is probably going to ask me questions that a whole bunch of people want to know. So I'm over here waiting for her to show up. Uh, oh, she's your big sis love. Well, that's my child. That's my little baby, is Nkanyezi. So, which makes you my child too. Anyone who loves Nkanyezi is loved by me. Hi there. Togoza Papa. I see you. It says it's T's and B's to go. Ninjani. Love you too. Togoza Sibo. How are you doing? Uh, who else? Kuku, may I ask a simple question? I promise it's not hectic. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're waiting for our special guest. Ah, and she's here. So ask your question, but let me let her on. Yeah.
Greetings, Togoza.
Masithokozeni, Nana. Masithokozeni. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm good, Nyaphila unjani.
Ngiyaphila. Good to see you. Makadikwa bulletproof. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Nkanyezi, I was just
Thokozani
telling a
nonke.
few. Hmm? You're
No, I
saying?
just said Thokozani nonke to everybody else.
Oh, you're greeting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was just saying before you joined us that I have no idea what you're going to ask me. So, Sizotembu Moya, we're going to trust Umoya to,
Yep.
yeah, to now. Just please note, I don't know everything. As you all know, that this spiritual journey is a journey of learning. We are all always learning. We learn from the young, we learn from the old, we learn from the not so young, we learn from the do-gooders. We learn from the low vibrational ones. We're here to learn. So
I don't know if the person who was saying that they wanted to ask a question that wasn't hectic wants
yeah,
to go.
here it is. She's asked, as a water baby, how can I please my spirit when I'm abroad and away from South Africa? US rivers scare me. Now, I see, Winona, that's a private question that's supposed to be in the DM. Because really, nobody's supposed to know you're a water baby. But you've just announced yourself to water baby. And if there's a piranha fish here waiting to eat a water baby, that's one thing I always encourage. Please do not put your spiritual business out on blast. It's not safe out there. And, better safe than sorry. So that is a DM question. So you can DM me and I'll be able to respond to you. We speak generalities here. Ungwe, ndimi wacho, makadiko. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thogoza. Thogoza. I was
All
going
right.
to ask before we begin if we can get Gogo to at least 10,000 likes. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm gonna need y'all to really just tap the screen and get it to 10,000 likes. And if you need to comment, if you don't want to comment, you can just say FYP in the comments, but make sure you comment so that we can get this out there.
How, Nkanyezi, you're so tech savvy. Is that how it's done? Yeah, I see.
Yes, that's how
I'm
it's done.
dating.
That's how it ends up on the FYP. We want this to end up on the FYP because Goko and I, this is something that we're going to do. We're going to be hosting a seminar for everyone. It's going to be called Iqiniso, the truth. And it's going to be on the 6th of August. So if you can tap the screen, comment in the comments, make sure you send this live at least to 15 people that you know would love that. That let's get this live up, so because even the questions I'm going to be asking Gogo, she might get, Gogo gets triggered sometimes, but I'm gonna be asking.
What does that mean, Nana? Come on now. Gogo's very stable. How? What?
She may be like, I'm not answering that question, but
No,
we're going to ask
just ask away. Do you know why that is, Goto Nana? Do you know? And you'll find this out with time, because that's why I love to watch you grow, and other young spiritualists here too. Is that you begin to learn how your people speak with you. And so you can ask me a question and I'll immediately get a reaction that tells me that I'm not supposed to be answering that question. They are very protective of their children lately because, and I can explain it real quick before you ask your questions. We are now out of the age of Pisces and into the age of Aquarius. So basically, we have left the age, and the Piscean age was actually the age of Set. Set is the energy of entropy. We've left the age of lies. We've left that low vibrational age where everybody was focused on things that are artificial. That's why even the introduction of artificial intelligence now is a joke, because artificial intelligence comes in at the end of everything that is artificial. So you ask yourself, well, then what is the natural thing versus the artificial intelligence? Well, natural intelligence is telepathy, right? Natural intelligence is literally you vibrating so high that Nkanyezi and I can sit here and talk to each other without you guys even knowing that we're having this conversation, right? So this new age we are in, we are at the cusp. So we have just gotten in, but the old matrix world, that illusion we've all been living in, has still got its clutches. And you know what they say, right? The last kicks of a dying horse are what? Very dangerous. And that's why you see this frenzy and frenetic movement in the spiritual realm, where those who were holding on to power, or at least their illusion of power illegitimately, are literally shaking in their boots because they realize time's up. So, what low vibrational entities, humans, spirits do at this time is they know they're on their way out, but they want to see how much they can destroy before they go out. And it's very typical of palm colored creatures. It's very typical of low vibrational people. It's that thing that you have with someone who says, well, if I can't have you, no one can have you, and then pours acid on your face, right? It's that same sickness. And so this is why I, because of the kind of channeling and messages I get, am extremely protective of young healers, because again, the message is that Ma is grooming a crop of young healers who literally will be the liberation. The liberation of the world as we know it is coming through spirituality. Not going to be politics, not going to be religion, not going to be cults, not going to be any of these man-made things. It's going to be spirituality, because what is going on? Mother Gaia is going back to nature. And so we too have to go back to nature. So there's going to be fighting. And part of that fighting is there are going to be casualties. All's love, all's fair, right? They say in love and war. And so I don't want any of you guys being casualties. Casualties of this war, that you ascend and you rise so that you can do the work that you're supposed to do in rebuilding the new world. I hope that makes sense somehow. You're muted, Nana.
Yes, it definitely does. And I hope people are really listening to this because no one wants to be collateral damage. No one wants to be collateral damage. And it is, this is so real that my first question is going to be very uncomfortable. I know that.
Go ahead.
Because a lot of people are, I don't want to say that it's mainly in the diaspora, but it is. It's in the diaspora. And there's this weird narrative of spirituality that can be very dangerous to your own people, your family, your children. We know growing up back home that the things that you do today are going to fall on your children. Am I good?
Yeah, you're kind of freezing a little bit.
So, okay. I hope I'm good because my Wi-Fi is good right now. Someone said that you were lagging and I didn't see it, but my first question was going to be, with spirituality or people practicing spirituality, is there such a thing that someone can receive a certificate?
Okay. Let's dissect that a little bit. There's a thing that someone can receive a certificate in spirituality.
Because there are people on TikTok or social media, I'll say social media, who prove to us as people who are spiritual naturally, they prove to us that they are spiritual beings and healers with a certificate that says, I have mastered this specific gift, and so my gobelas or my spiritual leader or guide has then marked their territory with me by giving me a spiritual certificate, and the certificate is real. Like,
Okay.
and I don't mean real like it's real in spirituality, because people don't like that I say that it's not real, but it's not real. It's not it's just a paper that says this person has been graduated.
Okay. All right. I see where you're coming from. Okay, look, let's put it this way. First and foremost, there are no certificates in spirituality. However, I think what I'm hearing you asking is, for example, I have a certificate, but my certificate is a certificate of registration as a sangoma, a fully practiced healer. Now, I am affiliated with an association. It's called Mhlabuhlangene, I think, of spiritual healers, right? And so when I finished my processes, my Govela had to sign up. My spiritual father had to sign on that to say, yes, indeed, she has finished her processes. She has gone through this, this, and this, and this. What and spirituality is very important. And so you are talking about specific spiritual schools or spiritual practices in the sense of what would we call this, traditions. So, for example, I am a fully trained and qualified Sangoma, and I have a registration to an association of Izangoma to prove anywhere, especially me living out here most of the time. I've had to, I wish it was around, I'd show it to you. I have had to prove as I go through the airport with a bunch of herbs, with bones, with animal skins, with all sorts of hojos. I've had to prove that, look, I am a traditional healer and these are for my healing practice, these are for my patients. Do you see what I mean? So the certificate comes handy there. The certificate also comes handy, for example, in South Africa now, we can get prescription pads so that people who cannot pay for, out of pocket, can use their health insurance. That's a huge, 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 huge plus, because some people cannot go and hlola and get the medicines that they need from I don't like to say traditional healer because I'm not traditional and most of us are not in that sense of the meaning, but from sort of indigenous healers. That's a better word. Yes, they can't get help from indigenous healers, even if their primary physician says, you see, this condition you have, we've tried X, we've tried Z, we've tried this pill, we've tried that pill. Engati, this thing, ifuna an indigenous healer. Then the doc can literally write a referral. Some of them now have referral lists of inyanga or sangomas that they trust to do a certain, a lot of cross collaboration, which for somebody like me is a huge step forward, given that not so long ago, traditional healers were deemed witches, people who worked with dark energy, people who destroyed people. Do you see what I mean? And so now it's so beautiful because that referral system ensures that Bhagwan to get the kind of help that they need when they need it. If I go to a doctor and I have an ear infection and he treats it and it keeps coming back, and he treats it and it keeps coming back, well, the doctor might say, mm-mm. And remember, Bhagwantu are spiritual beings first before you're trained as a physician. You're a spiritual being first before you're a lawyer or you're an engineer. So it's very possible that they can sense or feel that, nah, this thing, let's put you in touch with an indigenous healer who then not just looks at the physical manifestation, but then looks into the spiritual realm to say, is this thing emanating from there? Because the other thing people don't know is before anything is manifest in the physical, it is first created in the spiritual realm. So then somebody comes to me with their referral and they come and I can claim from their insurance, right? So then what happens is they get the care that they need as and when they need it. So from that perspective, Nkanyezi, yes, a certificate can be gotten. However, I hear your other question, because in the getting of certificates, anybody can go anywhere and print out a type looking certificate, put their names and on it, and then hold it up and say, hey, this piece of paper proves that I am a what? I am an indigenous doctor. Meanwhile, this is why I always say, how do you know a spiritual person? Whether they be an indigenous healer, whether they follow the orishas, whether they are somebody who works with crystals or tarot cards, how do you know when somebody is spiritual? Number one, energy. Energy doesn't lie. Number two, how they vibrate. Number three, how they be in private as well as in public. So there are people I see who come on these apps who will say things like, I am a chosen one. And there's absolutely nothing chosen about them because their behavior tells me all I need to know. So if you say you're a spiritual person, but your behavior is not aligned with the universal principles that govern spiritual people, I don't need you. You can bring 20 billion certificates and I'll still know you're a fraud. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard people are taking notes for real. Because it's a big conversation here. It's almost become an aesthetic.
Thank you for the gifts, right? You know what? I'm so bad at receiving gifts, but let me say thank you guys for the gifts. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, because I think it's become an aesthetic. People clothe themselves in spirituality and make themselves look like exactly like what you said. You know, energy doesn't lie. When you meet someone, you can tell. Now, this goes to my next question because I've always wanted to understand I feel like I have an angry, or not an angry, or a stubborn ancestor.
Tell me about it. I know all about her.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't want to talk your business here, but go on, baby. Your
So
mouth.
there's like this thing that happens to me, and it's I don't I feel like I can read energy, but then I wanted to ask the question for everyone else who kind of has the same movement, that why is it that some ancestors are just agitated, irritated, annoyed? Doesn't matter what someone does, they just, and I get that we're reading energy, but why is it that they just so, you know, I don't know if I can put it in the best way ever, but it's just,
Okay,
yeah.
let's talk about this. For starters, I'm not going to use you as an example because angifuni ukukhuluma indaba zakho, because you are a special case. Wena unenkani, uhlushwa yinkani. That's a specific type. Inkani is like fight. You have fight in you. And that is one of the signs that is a hallmark of somebody who needs to go to initiation school, Nana. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But I know what you mean when you say, why do we have some ancestors who are so agitated or irritable? It's simple. Guys, you have to remember your ancestors form part of your DNA. Bantu's ancestors, somewhere along the line, and majority of us is pretty much a huge chunk of our ancestry or our lineage, were tortured and traumatized. I used to ask myself this question about the palm colored ones because I couldn't understand. I'm going to use myself as an example because that's just that I'm safe to do so. I never understood this visceral, it was like a visceral, almost at a cellular level, dislike for palm colored people. Well, there are two things. Number one, on my journey, it became clear that on my father's side, there is a grandpa who lost huge tracts of his land. He lost his cattle, he lost goats, he lost everything when white people came to Zimbabwe to colonize. And him and his family were moved to an area that was so barren and so desert like to eke out an existence to feed his family. And his farm, he was told, you can stay here and work as a laborer and make money. And worse still, when he refused, because he was a proud Karanga man, huge, tall, statuesque, and he was descendant from a line of kings, his family, Baphume Bukhosini. So he refused. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, then guess what? They made sure to make the land that they put him and others on, you couldn't get anything out of this land. So what he was forced to do then was either to work as a laborer on land that was his forefathers' land, or go to the cities and towns to work in the factories. So he was caught between a rock and a hard place. And so I remember him growing up, because it's my paternal grandfather. He never one day set his foot in church. He went to school long enough so he could know how to sign their papers like birth certificate and this and this. Otherwise, he refused. He never one day took a foot in a hospital. He was a herbalist. He used to heal us with moringa leaves. If you woke up with an eye infection, he would chew moringa leaves and he would squeeze the juice. In 5 days, your eyes were clear. So whenever he was not well, he used herbs to heal himself. My grandfather, when I left Zimbabwe to go overseas, cried. And then my name that he named me as a baby just this is what shows you how powerful spirituality is. Do you know what my Karanga name is? My Karanga name is Dzosai Mwanawedu. Dzosai means bring back our child. And that name came about because when my father came to marry officially my mother, he said to my father, whatever you do, you don't lay a hand on her. If she gives you any trouble, talking about my mom, you bring her back. You bring back our child. You don't do anything to her, just bring her back. So when I was born, he named me Dzosai because actually my mom married my grandfather. She was a special one to him. And so my grandfather let her go reluctantly. So I, as her first child, was named Dzosai Manawedu. I look at where I am now, and that name evokes that thing, which is bring back our daughter. So why am I telling you this story? He is one of the Mkhulus who's with me. He's one of the ancestors who came through. And yes, he does not like palm-colored people. Now I understand myself better. I understand why I cannot abide, and I don't work for anybody, have never worked for anybody with all the degrees that I have. I have never worked for anybody. I've gotten educated, I've never worked for anybody because as soon as I finished school, boom, I started getting sick. The calling came a calling. So they were never going to allow me to work for us, especially this grandfather of mine. He made sure of that. So this is to say our anger is usually related to the struggles and the suffering of many of our ancestors. Many of our ancestors never forgave. Many of our ancestors are still angry. Because why? Because they watched their descendants still suffering under the yoke of the palm-colored. That's why I keep saying to Bagwantu, when you awaken and when you start to see what's going on and you shift away out of this matrix, you stop vying and competing to be employed by the palm-colored creatures. You please these ancestors and you heal them. But as long as we're trying to fit into these spaces of theirs, as long as we're trying to sit at their table to the point at which you're saying, hey, just give me some crumbs, I'll be happy with the crumbs, we are hurting them. We continue to perpetuate the pain that they went through. Does that make sense? So yes, you're going to see a lot of angry spiritualists. It's called righteous anger. It is, I have righteous anger. But I definitely know I'm not low vibrational. I definitely know that I am spiritually gifted and I'm a very highly spiritual person, right? That doesn't negate or invalidate the anger of those who are in me and who walk in me. And that anger is exacerbated by the fact that I, as Dzosai, still have to function within this matrix after centuries and centuries and centuries. So it's getting. Does that make sense, Nana? Okay.
It makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad everyone else in the comments is also receiving what they've been asking themselves. These questions are the questions that we constantly ask ourselves. I really hope.
Oh, Nana, my grandbaby. Yeah, my grandbaby.
He's so funny. But yeah, I was, really thinking about that what is it that makes us feel like that, and that really makes more sense. And my next question is also kind of connected to that. Because so I understand the righteous anger against other races. I get it. There's a reason, right? And there's a reason also for our own people. When your ancestor is very angry with people who look like you, more than the people who don't look like you, what are they expecting us to do to those people?
Ah, Nana, Let's just pass some pearls of wisdom. You have to remember that in order for colonization and slavery to happen, there had to be sellouts. There had to be imidlwembe. We had kings who sold our own people into slavery. We had people who sold their own relatives away into slavery. We had sellouts during struggles for liberation, people who sold us out and who decided to side with the kneelers. About ancestral anger. They will be more angry than their own because the hurt is worse. Imagine your own brother stabbing you in the back. Imagine your own, like, as long as you have melanin, you're my brother, you're my sister, you're my family. You and I are linked in a way that is inexplicable. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. Imagine that one of your own sold you, put you in chains for for a handful of gunpowder and said, Oya hak, take. Do you see where I'm going with this? So, of course, the anger is going to be more. But I want you to sit with this one for a minute. Even now, you've often heard Mkhulu of GEK say, asifuni imidlwembe. Like he does not, because he has a same almost spiritual profile. So he is led by kings who died fighting for Bagwantu and who were sold out by their own. People who envied their place as kings were told, because you see, the Neeless creature is very cunning. Once the Neeless creatures had brainwashed enough of us to realize or to believe that they were superior, the rest was game over. Because then we deferred to their judgment of things against our own knowledge of Ma'at. Ma'at being justice, Ma'at being doing the right thing. We then defected to them as having superior knowledge, and therefore we bowed to inorganic creatures when those creatures shouldn't even have been in existence and should have been bowing to us. Mistake number one. That he has a price. He has a price. And he wants that seat of King Sobuza there. Let me draw him close. Draw him close, share some cigars, share some whiskey, give him a little bit of sugar, give him some gunpowder, show him how to shoot a gun. And meanwhile, the same thing they do on golf courses. That's why I hate the golf course. They will be sweeting you. Yeah, what kind of a guy is this King so-and-so? Because they already see that this King so-and-so is a hindrance to their mission to take land. It's a hindrance to their mission to take land so they can mine it. It's a hindrance because he's so protective of his people, you can't enslave any of them and take them to the cities for cheap labor. So he starts, so what kind of guy do you think this is? You know how they slick talk, these palmless. What kind of guy do you think he is? And then you, because you've got that seed of jealousy and ma'at is lost to you, because guess what? You are now entrapped by these material things that this harmless creature is offering you. You are now intrigued by this. In fact, you're terrified of this God that he has told you has enough power to just smite you, this jealous, angry God that has a designated place called hell and a designated place called heaven where you can have as many virgins and still trapped in the flesh, right? So then that seed says, and you say, yeah, you know what? He's a bit of a hard head. He's very stubborn. And because you are weak, anyone who's a sellout is weak. You've probably had run-ins with him where he's pointed out that you are weak. So you don't like him very much. So, it goes on for a while until eventually Umlungu said, that seed really, it suits you better than it suits him, that throne, And you're like, oh, wow. Of course, you're in the flesh, right? Ego. Oh, really? Yeah. That throne, Suits you perfectly. You would be great on that throne. Oh, tell you what, I can help you get that throne if you like. Imagine that. You get that throne, and you and me, we could change this place. Just imagine what we could do in this place for all your people, right? And you're like a dummy. Yeah. So guess what happens? It's game over once it's that. He gives you the gun or the knife that is poisoned to go and kill your own king. So do you understand why some of our ancestors have more anger towards our own than they have to the palm-colored creatures? I'll tell you something. Me, the palm-colored creature, I know who that is. I know what it is. I know how it operates. I have studied it. My ancestors, through Akashic records and other things, have shown me centuries worth of what this creature is and what it's capable of. Is it painful? Yeah. But I tell you, nothing beats the pain of watching, like currently on the African continent, in the diaspora. Nothing is more painful to me than watching us tear each other down. Nothing is more painful for me when I come across a TikTok of a sister who says, you know what? I've had it with my kind. I'm going to align myself with the palmless ones, the females. You know what it's like literally I feel so betrayed. I feel so like I want to like yay, yay, yay. And I know it's not me, grandmothers. I know it's my grandfathers. I know it's all those people. It's their rage, their pain, their torture, their sense of betrayal and disappointment that is welling up in me. Does that make sense?
Yes. Ooh,
Mm.
I'm just sitting with it right now because the book that I've been wanting to write, I could not, I wanted to write a knowledgeable book, but the only word that came to my head was how I survived my own people, the people I could not save.
And Nana, you know what? You said something very important. We cannot save everybody. Just like in years past, we couldn't save everybody. The sellouts will always be among us. The principle or energy of Umbidlizi, Uset, the destroyer, will always be among us. Remember that we live in a world of duality, right? We have the positive, we have the negative. We have sorrow, we have joy. We have light, we have dark. And so we have to come to that place of acceptance that we will, the CET energy will always be with us. Like I said in a TikTok I did, the key is to learn this. Know how to recognize them, accept that they are there, and then learn to manage them. That's all we can do. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. I hope everyone else, if you're here and you're receiving what you've been asking yourself, please just say so. You guys are also free to ask questions. And I'm going to say it again, since there's more people in the live and get 20 likes. We're having a seminar on the 6th of August called Iqiniso, the truth. This is going to be the truth of the creation story. So everything you've been told is going to it's going to be a very hard thing to digest, but I think you're all ready. If you're there, you're ready. Yes, we'll be having everything out by tomorrow, so you guys can book your seats. It's going
By
to
the
be
way, Nana, something has occurred to me. Ukoko is saying, hey, tell them this one. Tell them that some of these imidlwembe, these sellouts, are also reincarnated. So not only are our ancestors, when you meet one and you have that visceral reaction, you're probably having a visceral reaction to a reincarnated sellout or a reincarnated umudlwembe who's had to come back and is being given the opportunity to fix the wrongs that they did in a past life or past lives or past lives, which is very hard for a lot of these people because they are stuck. So what they will do is they will attack you, they will attack me, because we remind them those that they killed. And so it's like there's a guilt that comes over them. And so rather than go inward to say, why does this person trigger me? Although she's so sweet, Gonyana, she does all these amazing things. Why is it that she makes me want to? That's because my art inside is saying balance, balance. You are too much on the dark side. This one is a mirror to you to say, hey, remember what you did? It's time to fix it. And so you have light workers having a visceral negative response to those dark energies or dark ancestors who've come back. But you also have those dark ancestors having a visceral dislike for the light ones because it triggers DNA memory of things past that they'd rather not look at. Because when these creatures come back, you'll find that they exhibit the same patterns of behavior that their forefathers did, or that they as a soul did before they reincarnated back here. So what that means is in every cycle of incarnation as humans, we are going to meet these creatures because duality. Does that make sense, Nana?
It's perfect sense. I'm really trying to digest it, and I'm just thinking about the duality part that, when they put us in these situations, I heard someone once tell me that sometimes your brother or your sister is someone you
Shami,
would...
please, I just need a few more minutes, please. Okay, that's my daughter telling me that I'm being too loud and she wants me to vacate this room. But just carry on for a little bit.
Yeah, I heard that they said sometimes your brother or your sister is your previous enemy. It was someone you either killed in war or someone who just destructed your people, and now they've become your brother and your sister. That's why we fight the way that we do.
Yeah, comics, right? This is the whole nother conversation about what is a karmic, right? A karmic is somebody who comes into this incarnation who may have killed in the last incarnation. And now they're being given a chance to fix things with you. But like I said, it's a hard journey for them because they are so much on the dark, and it takes a lot of work for them to balance themselves out so that they can sort of get balance. And so, yeah, there's always going to be that. And you know, if you are in a relationship with a karmic, an intimate relationship, those are some of the tempestuous and most awful relationships that anyone can ever be in. A lot of us have had a karmic relationship where you are with somebody who in a previous life did some stuff to you, or where you, as the person who's being tortured, did something bad to someone else, and now you are in this incarnation and receiving your karma through this karmic. That's your karmic partner. Do you see? Does that make sense? Yeah, I should do some lives and stuff on these whole karmic things because people think it's more complicated than it actually is. I'm going to simplify it.
Yeah. It's questions that we always ask ourselves. We try to figure out, like, why do I hate my sister? Why do I hate my mother? Why do I hate, you always ask yourself that. And I always think about it and I'm like, this has to be ancestral. It has to be spiritual. There must be something that happened prior, or you had this, because for instance, even the people that we meet here, being from Africa, I do feel that some of them are people I knew before.
You know what, Nana? Here's the thing, too, that I always say. What experience has taught me is that the minute I have a negative response to someone, I don't necessarily jump to the conclusion that it's their fault or they are doing something. What I do is I sit with me, and I try to work with the harmless creatures. I don't put myself through any homework. But with Bagwantu, I want to know whether what I am feeling or sensing is Meads or Psi, or whether what's happening is DNA initiated. Also, remember that although I do work with ancestors, there's also Dzosai, the person, who also has her own shadow. And so sometimes you are triggered by somebody because you have some shadow work that you haven't done on yourself. And so this is where spirituality becomes very interesting, because it is primarily a work on self before you look outside to say, this one is bad, this one does this to me, this one does this. Sebenza wena kuqala. Make sure that you are in my art. Because once you are in my art, then you can measure everything else that comes at you based on your own balance. If something throws you off balance, work hard enough to fix it. I tell people about meditation the whole time. And I know that majority of people who are on this app are literally absorbing spiritual information here, but they're not actually living it. Spirituality is a lived practice. It's who you are. It's not a knowledge system. That is what Westerners have led us to believe, because they talk about metaphysics. Metaphysics is studying spirituality in a book. If I refer you to a book, there's only one reason I'm doing that, is because I know for sure that that is going to trigger some DNA memory in you, and that will start an unraveling or a conversation with yourself that you need to have. But in order to have a conversation with yourself, after you've read the book, if there is something to practice in the book, do it. If the book tells you about sitting outside and sun gazing for 15 minutes, do it. There's no use you coming here switching your TikTok to teach people about grounding when you're walking around with your flip-flops all day, every day, and your feet have not touched dirt in 10 years. That's why I said I can tell a spiritual person based on energy versus somebody who has all the theory up here. If you only have theory, you're not spiritual, you are a metaphysicist. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. Mm.
Injalo.
Mm. 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 Hey, and that's so true, because you can tell them also when you're spiritual, you can tell that this person, I'm not sure if they have some kind of connection to their spirituality. And then I think we get scared and we're like, no, this one I need to run away from. So
Yeah.
my next question is very weird, and I don't know if you've ever gotten this kind of question before, but why is it that we have the same skeleton in our spine as snakes?
How do you mean skeleton? I know where you're going, but I want you to articulate it so that we can understand. I know exactly what you're talking about. What do you mean by skeleton, Nana?
So, first of all, our spines are the only thing that really keeps us standing up, right?
That's right.
So, they're the only form of direction of the body, which means they're also direction of energy.
Right.
Why are our skeletons the exact same as snakes when snakes are amphibians, right? Or reptiles?
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you? Do you know what I almost did yesterday? I almost posted, and Umar said not yet, and this is going to be part of what we're going to be teaching about, which is what is really the source of all life. What is the snake, and why was the snake so demonized? Unomkhubulwane, unomkhubulwane, right? Shape shifts. Nomhoi shape shifts to become what? A snake. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to say on that for now.
I know
I
I'm
will
not allowed to say it, but would this be Nkanyamba?
Inkanyamba, ziningi amagama wazo. Kodwa inkanyamba, nyame nyame, from the Zambezi, is also a representation of Nomkhubulwane, the shapeshifter, can turn into a flying dragon. We are going deep. Nkanyezi, sizayikhuluma ngendimi.
Yeah.
You are trouble. You are trouble. You don't cause trouble. You are trouble.
I'm sitting here, my spine is literally like, I don't know what's going on.
But remember, your spinal cord reticulates like a snake, right? If you hold a snake by the tail, the snake will do this. It doesn't flop. That is the backbone of the snake will do this. It's called reticulation. So our spine is reticulated, meaning that it has bones that fit one into the other, into the other, into the other. And when one, the next one has a certain pattern, so it doesn't fall apart or flop. I'm going to keep it there, Nana. We'll take this on further on another live.
Okay.
Don't scare the people.
I'm also kind of scared. I won't even lie. I'm like, my body is feeling hot.
So am I, and that's your fault. Because now you see, you've got my snake energy doing things up here, and we're going to talk about the snake energy and what that all is at another time, Nkanyezi. I love done.
I think we need to really talk about it in the seminar because there is something that has been triggering me that I'm like, why do we have the same spinal cord?
Nkanyezi, shh. Where you are at, you are on the cusp of exploding. Where's Utintin? So when I'm tu, can you just tone it? Because you are so far ahead. You are one leg out of initiation school. I'm telling you. And that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to read you and tell you your things in public. But that's why you're feeling all these sensations that you're feeling in your body. And that's why my body is responding to your energy right now. Because let's take it on so that neither of us goes into lozi. And then everybody here will be like, Zango, manamadlos, Let's find a question.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, Bonana.
I'm being told I mustn't say anything anymore. Shut up.
Like we should be done?
Yes.
Okay. So Landelumoya. Shall we look at other questions that people might have? You can read them sometimes. Maybe people, if you guys have questions, I'm quite happy to answer your questions on spirituality and stuff. There are any questions? I'm not seeing any questions. Shall I request? Yes, please do so.
I'm feeling so sick. I feel like I need to vomit. That's how bad it is.
Drink some water. There's somebody who wants to request disconnecting. Somebody asked a question, is initiation important for spiritual growth? No, it's not. And let me explain it this way. You're talking about formal initiation, about going to an initiation school, correct? Can I tell you something? You go through initiation almost every single day of your life, if you are conscious of it. What does initiation really mean? There is the kind of initiation where you go to an initiation school to a certain tradition, go through certain processes, and then you're initiated. However, your daily life experiences, if you are conscious, those challenges and those things that cause you to die a little to yourself so that you can rise again and become a better person. So we talk about ascension, right? In order for you to ascend, even if you're not in initiation school, you go through some stuff and then something happens to you that is transformative and you come out the other end different from what you were before you went through this either isolation or just a dark space. You guys have heard of the hero's journey, right? The hero's journey, the heroine's journey. If you haven't, look up that book and read it. It literally walks you through the life of a person who is evolving. And at different stages, first they are just isolated from everybody. When you go to initiation school, you are enclosed and isolated from your family and everybody except fellow initiates, right? Same thing. Here, spirit can isolate you where you find nobody wants to talk to you, nobody seems to have time. You self don't want to talk to anyone. You feel like a hermit. You literally wish you could have a hut on a mountain and be by yourself. That is spirit isolating you so that it can teach you some things, so that you can go into the cocoon that's initiation. So when you come out the other side, you have ascended, you have more knowledge, you might be more enlightened about some things. You might have actually healed of some traumas during that phase of isolation. The problem we're having right now is there are so many people who are so distracted. This world is engineered to distract Bhagwantu from rising. That's why you got the liquor stores on every corner. You've got the church on every corner. You've got the gambling house on every corner. You've got the porn all over social media, like Twitter is a mess. You've got porn sites. They want you in your flesh, because as long as you're in your flesh and you're distracted, umuntu will never rise and you will never really know the power of who you are. But if you are conscious and become conscious, and the journey of consciousness and spirituality, you're being taken through initiation the whole time. There's a little death and then a rebirth. Something else happens. There is a death and a rebirth. And you're ascending at each death and rebirth as you're learning your lessons. Does that make sense? I hope I've answered that question. Okay, who's Ebony something? Go ahead, love.
Greetings. I
Greetings,
wanted to come
greetings, greetings.
up. Indigo, Nkanyezi, sis, I love you. I'm glad I made it to this live today, because I know in the previous live I missed, you were talking about crystals and stones and us reclaiming them. And my question is about that. How do we do that? How do we utilize the tools that have been left for us, and in a way that we are connecting not only physically and grounding, but spiritually, on a spiritual level? And the reason I ask that is because I have a lot of them. I was called to just start calling them. They were calling to me, actually. But then when I got them, I thought I was supposed to use them to sell and stuff. And I was told emphatically no. And I'm like, okay, so now what am I doing? And I want to thank you too, as well. And I'm sidetracked really quick for what you just said, because I also, once that happened, was put in isolation. I am in a desert place, very isolated, and I do realize it's a calling. My ancestors have placed me here for a specific reason. So, if you can touch on that a little
Sure,
bit, and oh, thank you.
sure. So what I'm hearing, and I'm going to have to allow Spirit to speak because you're asking about something specific to you. So what I'm hearing is that you cannot sell that which you do not know how to utilize fully. So what Spirit is saying to me is that you need to get to know these stones and how they work, and so that you can use them to heal yourself first before you sell. The problem when we sell spiritual stuff as a commodity, there is a serious problem, because it isn't a commodity. It's literally a gifting. You are gifting somebody something that ought to heal them, something that ought to help them advance. Now, if you yourself have not used it and healed you of the things that need to be healed, they're not going to allow you to sell it. Does that make sense? So if you start there by going inward, whoever it is who had you buy these crystals, my hearing is that it's somebody who worked a lot with crystals. And yes, there are hours. There are definitely hours because there is no religion in this world, on this planet. There is no spiritual system that is on this planet that did not come from the African continent. And I know that when I say this, there's a lot of people for whom it hurts. I used to get attacked by natives, but I heard that from a shaman, the first Native American shaman who helped me understand that I had an ancestral calling when all hell broke loose and I knew nothing about nothing. He's the one who taught me that everything that is spiritual, Buddhism, um, Taoism, all the other isms out there, their foundation and basis comes from Africa because we are the first people on this earth. And we migrated out of the continent, actually civilizing the world. Now, other peoples don't like hearing this because they say that we are trying to erase or to blackwash their history. I have been to certain places. I've been to the Mayan ruins and I've shown that our forefathers built this. Well, lo and behold, I come home. There's a book by Ivan van Sertima who tracks the movement of people out of Africa. This book is called The Olmecs. I don't think I have it here, otherwise I'd show it to you. And reading this, I was like, oh my gosh, I knew this because I went there and this is what happened to me and this is what I felt. I've been to Stonehenge, which is another stone calendar in the UK. After dreaming and dreaming of stones while I was in the UK, I ended up there. And I had the same sensation that it felt familiar somehow. Our ancestors did that. Then, of course, we have the pyramids of Giza. We have pyramids in Mpumalanga built. Those pyramids in Mpumalanga, they are covered by grass now, but they're older than the pyramids of Giza, right? We have Mapungubwe, right? Which is another structure that sits on the Golden Meridian. The Golden Meridian being that electromagnetic, it's like the spine of Earth that goes from the southern hemisphere all the way to the pyramids of Giza. Then we have Enzaloyelanga, which is the oldest stone calendar in the world. The oldest. It's older than Dendera, the Dendera calendar that is in Egypt. Way older. It's about 30,000 years older. So this, when I say that the movement of energy, the movement of knowledge was out of the continent to all other parts of the world, this is just facts, historical facts you can look up. So when Indigo was saying this is our stuff, we can reclaim it. It is. I mean, if you decided to go into Hinduism, there's no one that can stop you because your forefathers laid the foundation of Hinduism. However, my thing is, I always say to Vagwantu, why go to some adulterated version when we have the purest version from the continent itself?
Yes, when you could go to the source. I love it.
Yes,
You could
baby.
go to the source.
Yes, and this is it. And when you say go to the source, you're literally talking about the birthplace of the world. We are as old as this planet. And the rocks, the first rocks, the molten rock, which we call
You telling
Mkhulu.
them what we're supposed to be talking about?
No, Nana, the one we are going to be talking about. No, it's deeper than this. But anyway, we let me stop there. If you're satisfied with the answer, let's move on to the next question. How about that?
Yes, please, please. So Ebony is actually going to be helping me with the flyer and everything,
Thank
and we're
you,
going to push it out
sweetheart.
there.
I really
And
appreciate it.
make
Thank
sure,
you.
Absolutely.
all of y'all, make sure you guys get your tickets and be at the seminar because you guys are never going to get this kind of history, and it's going to rejuvenate your soul, your mind, your heart, everything. It's just you heard we were getting somewhere, and I had to stop Gogo because whew.
Yeah. Okay, somebody wants to have a question. Why don't you request, Nana? Let's see. If who else needs to request? There are
I
people, I
think
think.
a lot of people are very uncomfortable with Gogo. You guys are a little bit scared, but please don't. Just
Why
request
are they
and
scared of
come in
me?
here.
Ah, scared of me. I'm a whole fool, guys. Seriously.
Hello,
Hello. Who am I talking to?
I'm Gabby.
Gabby.
Indigo,
Hi.
is the tickets? How much are the tickets?
$5. The tickets are going to be $25, and there's
No,
only
we
a
need
hundred.
we need them
There's
to be
only
more
100
expensive.
seats.
Well, oh, it's not online.
It
Oh,
is. It's going to be online. It's $25 for.
I don't have $25 anyway, so it's okay.
Gabby, I
I
got you.
don't.
I got you. Don't
Oh,
worry.
thank
Okay.
you. Cause
I need a spiritual question. This discussion of money is too much for me. Yeah,
oh, I'm
please,
sorry.
can we have
I understand what you're saying. I'm not very materialistic. It's just I really want to hear you speak. That's all.
no, it's fine, love. It's just that I'm not, yeah, I'm sort of different. I'm in a parallel world. That's why Nkanyezi takes care of all that stuff because I'm not,
I know
yeah.
what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Um, I actually, unless someone else wants to ask the question, but I had the questions. I've been getting these dreams lately.
Mhm,
Actually, it's been a while, and
mhm,
I've been on my spiritual journey alone. Well,
mm,
not alone, but like I haven't had a physical human help me in my
okay.
journey.
Mm.
And the kickoff dream was me taking a plane or like whatever it was. It was a dream
Okay, Nana,
to
we cannot do that here. Like I've said before, please be very careful what you share on social media platforms. This is a DM question because you're about to share a dream that could reveal everything about everything that you are. And we have people,
oh,
unfortunately,
okay,
who
I'll ask a
prey on
different
people like
question.
you. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that those kind of questions that are intimate, just DM me.
I feel my ancestors like stop her right now. My ancestors like stop her right now because I've been trying to work on hearing them, and I am mixed with palm color, and the palm colored ancestors are mad because I ignore them. So it's turned into me ignoring them so much that somehow I've ignored the African ones when I'm trying not to, and I'm trying to be selective with who I let into my energy.
I'm gonna have
Oh,
to
sorry.
address this,
Oh, remember to
and I'm
breathe.
going to address this to all those who are mixed with the palm color. Number one, it's not your fault. You weren't there when decisions were being made about your creation. And at the end of the day, we have to trust spirit. What needs to happen is you need what is called an ancestral alignment ritual so that you can heal and unify your ancestors of Bagwantu and these, your light colored ancestors, because you cannot function as a human being on 50% of who you are. Does that make sense? You're always
And
going to be shooting yourself in the foot. You're never going to
you're
fulfill
not
your
even
potential.
lying.
So, what needs to happen is there needs to be a healing and they need to be allowed to come through and ugushweleza, which is to apologize to these
They don't
ancestors
want to.
who,
I've
Aibo,
done shadow work. I tried to mediate spiritually. I tried meditation. They're Irish, and then like Yoruba people, and then the
I get.
Congolese,
I'm
and
going to
they
say
just
it in
like
this
want to
is
fight.
right. I'm going to say it. Then what that means is these are the ones you don't even pay notice, and they can get silenced by a ritual. I'm not going to
Oh
talk about it here. Yebo, yebo. Abizwa
yeah,
amadlozi
boy, yeah,
amdaka.
boy.
Siyalahla thina amadlozi amdaka. We
Because
throw away those kind
the
because
way they've
even
been attacking the energies, and then it's been attacking me, and I'm like, but
no,
I didn't.
that needs to be taken care of. And Gabby, I think we'll leave it there because let's hear what other people have to say. But that definitely can get taken care of because even Bagwantu, we have what we call Amadlozi Amdala. These are the ancestors who were witches. These are the ancestors who killed. You don't want those in your entourage because what that does is when you activate them, because they're a part of you, find you walking around trying to people just so that they can be happy. No. So those
Oh,
ancestors,
I
there's
don't listen to that.
yeah. So
I've had
there's
that
a
said.
ritual that we do to literally throw them out. Let them stay in the abyss that they're in. We're not bringing them into the fold. Towards. Oh. Any other questions?
Thokoza gogo.
Thokoza ngubani usimanga. Ayi uthokoza ninjani.
Gogo ngiyakuthanda. And
Awu, thandwa ndim.
I am shaking. I'm at the brink of a ball. Yazi ukuthi ngabe ngiyakhala because you said something that helped me. So I'm literally here to say thank you for clearing me.
Magwandi.
Thokoza.
Samako.
Ngiyabonga gogo.
No, Magwandi, good. Magwandi. If you need me, just DM me, okay? Don't hesitate to DM me if you need to talk, if you need some stabilization. Ne? It will probably be tomorrow morning that I can respond, but DM me. My phone number, by the way, for anyone who needs to DM me, is +1 734 274 0664. That's my number. Maybe someone can write it in here, and then whoever needs it can take it. I realize that these kind of, remember, we are spiritual beings. And so one of the things that tends to happen with me and people, even things do start getting activated. I'm always aware of this, which is why I always have a white candle. Because what I do then is I can help. So I do distance healing as well. So sometimes if someone is in a lot of pain, I can feel it without you even telling me. I'll say, someone here has a pain in the side. Who is it? Because then I can take, it means I'm latching onto your energy. I can heal you by just taking it into me and then transmuting it. So me being here is actually work, if I may put it that way, because whoever's here, my guides and my own spirit is like searching and seeking out different things. I don't always find anything because sometimes nobody's sick, or sometimes they'll bypass. But sometimes I'll be sitting like this and I'll get a sudden headache. And I'll know that someone out there has a terrible headache. And sometimes I'll just call out and say, listen, whoever's got a headache, take this, mix it, you'll be fine. So, thank you. No, Magwande, sibonga umoya.
You really confirmed a lot of things. I've attended 2 lives. I followed you, I think, last year, but all along I've just been scrolling past you. Then this day when I attended your live, you said something that was very profound. And I just woke up now and I said, let me go on TikTok. I came straight to your live and I'm like, wow. So, Gogo, you confirmed a
Sibonga
lot.
umoya. Yazi umoya usebenza kanjalo, Khetha. We are here to heal the world. We're here to heal each other. And so, mina ngiyajabula nje. I'm always happy. I'm always so ecstatic when I know that somebody has gotten the breakthrough that they needed. That is huge for me. Because I'm born to do what I'm doing right now. This is why I came into this incarnation. So, much love to the son.
Thank you so much.
Thokoza. Anyone else with any questions?
Thokoza Ngogo.
Thokoza,
And
ngubani okhulumayo? Ngu-777 Unc.